Global Forum, and we are very happy to already having a proposal for that and an invitation, and we will briefly have this outlook. We will also meet here a few representatives of this next host city, and we start with a little welcome message, you can say, from the mayor of Donostia, the mayor of San Sebastian. So please run it.
Kaixo, Juan Carlos Izagirre naiz, Donostiako alkatea. Eta hasteko agurtu nahi zaituztet, Tunisiako foroan zaudetenei, zorionak eman eta eskerrak eman egiten dezuen lanagatik demokrazia zuzenaren alde. Donostia Euskal Herriko hiri txiki bada, Euskal Herria bere kultura eta bere hizkuntza ditu, orain euskeraz hitz egiten ari naiz, eta Donostian azkeneko urtetan apustu sendo bat egin dugu parte hartzearen alde. Orain dela gutxi, onartu dugu araudi bat, demokrazia zuzenarena, herri galdeketerena, eta honen bitartez, gobernuak antolatuko ditu herri galdeketak hurrengo urtetan, baina are importanteagoa dena. Herritarrek ere aukera izango dute herri galdeketak antolatzeko eta gobernuek obligatutak egongo dira hauek antolatzera. Gainera, 2016an Donostia izangoa Europako hiriburu kulturala. Eta hiriburu kulturalaren oinarrietako bada, kultura tresna bezala erabiltzea, parte hartzea indartzeko. Horregatik, nire proposamena da, hurrengo 2016an, datorren urtean, 2016 hiriburu kulturalaren barruan, foroa demokrazia zuzena
and a little bit about the preparatory process.
Salam.
Hello.
Bien, nuestra invitación a participar en San Sebastián.
Our invitation to participate in San Sebastian,
Como ha dicho nuestro alcalde, en definitiva es para continuar trabajando de manera colectiva
it's as our mayor laid it out, is to continue working in this collective manner
en la creación de conocimiento
in the creation of knowledge
y en compartir experiencias especialmente de interés para nosotros de carácter local.
and to share experiences with a special interest in the local level.
En San Sebastián estamos trabajando
In San Sebastian, we are working
tanto movimientos sociales como técnicos, políticos y ciudadanía en general
many sort of movements and changes in a variety of areas, and technical areas and social areas,
en aprender y practicar
to learn and practice
la construcción colectiva de las políticas públicas.
The construction of get a native speaker up here. Yeah, go ahead. Of a collective polity.
Public politics.
Yeah, public politics. Yeah.
Por tanto,
Yeah.
les invitamos a seguir en San Sebastián, como decía nuestro alcalde, profundizando en la calidad de la democracia.
We say that again. Go ahead. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Y en esto consideramos que la democracia directa es un asunto fundamental.
We see this as a fundamental note, a fundamental moment.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I may just add that the plan is to have this forum next year from the 19th to the 22nd of November. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes, right.
Yeah. So are there any 19th to 22nd of November?
No, November 19th to
2016. Yeah. So if there is a question, yes, Erwin?
Pregunta.
Yeah,
Pregunta.
my name is Erwin Meyer, and we leave in quarter of an hour, so I'm happy to have this question to you. First of all, it was mentioned that this will be consultative. Does it mean binding or not binding? Because the next sentence was the politicians have to make it. So this is a big question for me, is it binding or not binding? And the second thing is, who is making the rules for direct democracy and participation in your municipality? Is it done by the politicians, by the council, or do the people have influence on the rules for direct democracy and participation?
Si es vinculante o no vinculante. Bien. Nuestro reglamento de consultas ciudadanas,
Our regulations for citizen consultations.
aprobado el 30 de abril,
It was approved April 30th.
con la unanimidad de todos los partidos políticos del Parlamento de la ciudad,
Con la mitad.
all the consensus,
With all the councils, all the citizens, the parties.
no contempla las consultas como vinculantes porque la ley tampoco lo permite.
It doesn't contemplate what? Binding. The binding. It doesn't contemplate binding because the law doesn't permit it. Yeah. Yeah.
And the second is,
Who makes the rules for direct democracy and participation? The council or the people?
todos.
But all of it, yeah.
Cuando impulsamos la participación, procuramos generar escenarios en los que todas y todos ponemos los límites irrenunciables para cada uno.
Wow, you're going to have to do that.
Venga, Daniel.
Get up here, get up here.
El punto cero de los...
So when we started this project for citizen participation, we designed the main principles by which citizens and also the government could work together. Okay, based on certain, there were certain principles that were non-negotiable, irrenunciables, she said. Yeah.
Y este reglamento de consultas ciudadanas
And this rule book of citizen participation,
lo hemos construido a lo largo de 2 años
we built it over 2 years, a period of 2 years,
a partir de un fuerte debate social
starting from a long public debate,
con el que los partidos políticos se comprometieron a respetar el resultado del mismo.
in which political parties made a commitment to respect the outcomes of this public deliberation.
Thank you. I mean, the 2016 debate already has started, as you see, and I just want to say that I visited Amaya and her colleagues last September, and they have a house for supporting active citizenship and participation. So it's not only new regulation which has been adopted now a few days ago, it's also a whole supportive infrastructure, and I think that's a very interesting point also in all this work. So I'm looking very much forward to next year's forum, and it's important to say that this is a process. These events are just an opportunity to meet and to together, of course, but it's only part of a longer process of our conversation. So I hope that many of you will consider, and there is some time for planning, as you can see. So thank you very, very much.
Any other question? No?
Thank you.
Thank you. There will be many questions. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you for the relief.
¿Quieres hacer un...
Sorry, to conclude that we have another 1 minute video about the cultural city. So if we can run this and take off the lights again. And afterwards we go to our hardest moment of this forum.
Donostia 2016 kamarrak askatu ditu berriz. Itxasoratu da, bidaia bera izan dadin, hiri bezala eraldatuko gaituena. Itsas bidaiak kultura ikusteko eta egiteko beste era batzuk erakuts diezazkigun. Hiru itsasargik gidatzen gaituzte Itakarako itzuleran. Bizitza humanista eta jasangarriago baten zerumuga berriak erakusten dizkigute. Gizarte justu eta solidarioago batera bidean. Inoiz ezagutu ez dugun bake egoera batean elkarrekin bizi diren ahots ugariz osaturiko leku baten bilagoaz. Portuz portu, hiri bakoitzeko kaiek Europa osora zabalduko den abentura honen ondarea partekatzen dute. Ondare horren altxorrik handiena bidaia bera da. Urrengorako are hobeto prestatuko gaituena. Aingurak jaso eta itsaso berriak zeharkatzeko beharrezkoak ditugun kemena eta ilusioa batu ditugu. Baina gure eskifaiak zure beharra du. Zure energiarekin urrunago iritsiko gara. Baltzatoz gurekin.
So we can get the lights back. We are now having a half an hour for our final work on the Tunis Declaration on Modern Direct Democracy. This has been, on one side, a way of trying to, for each of the forums, try to understand a little bit what has been discussed, what has been the main issues in the place, in the country, in the region we have had the forums. It has also been, let's say, a message from one forum to the next. So this Tunis Declaration now wants to in a way, catch this. And it's important maybe to say that this is not a legal text or a constitution for our forum or like a statute. So we need this kind of humbleness to this ambitious idea of having such a document from each to the next forum. So I will now distribute the draft of it, which is based on the discussions we had and also discussions we had afternoon. And the idea would be that Joe will go through the text paragraph by maybe the best thing would be, of course, if you primarily would have a short look on it, so you see the entity, the totality of it, and then we go through. And it will not be like that we can add things in many ways or making total different kind of wish lists into that. But if there is a major concern, a major misunderstanding, something which is really, you feel it's totally inappropriate, we should of course discuss it, and we will not want to have a vote by vote, but we want to have a common understanding of it. So that can be then translated directly into Arabic and French and distributed to the media in this afternoon, because there is an interest for it. So please, if I can ask every name to distribute it. Yeah. Everybody will have. Yes, we don't. It's not really the computer of this of Joe is not really compatible with. Okay. So just get an idea about the whole document, and we will now go through and have the translation for it. That's also important. So in a minute we will just start. So there are more copies if somebody needs. Yeah.
You ready?
You go up.
Oh, sure. Okay. I've been. Everyone here? I've been advised to read this very slowly to aid with the translation. Everybody ready, translators up there? Okay, thank you. Tunisia is in transition. So is direct democracy around the world. We are Tunisians. We are North Africans. We are Europeans. We are Asians. We are from the Americas. We come from all kinds of communities, from every corner of the globe, and from all walks of life. Among us are scholars, journalists, activists, campaign organizers, philanthropists, elected officials, election administrators, NGO leaders, lawyers, business people, farmers, students, citizens, engineers, and the unemployed. We have met for 4 days to discuss direct democracy, participation, and decentralization at a free and open forum in Tunis, Tunisia. We were impressed to learn more about the successes of the revolution and the progress Tunisia has made. We also were reminded that Tunisians have a very long way to go on their journey to a better democracy. But don't we all? We see this shared journey as taking our societies not only from dictatorship to democracy, but also from democracy to true participatory democracy. We know that representative democracy, while essential, is not enough by itself. We are in transition from low turnout elections to robust new forms of participation that give us more power, but also ask more of us. We believe that the development of democracy requires decentralization of power, and we know that such decentralizations are so challenging that participation must be more than a goal. Participation must itself be part of the decentralizing process at every level. And to make that a reality, we need better participatory tools and better assessments of how well direct democracy and other participatory tools work. Participation requires more than words in a constitution or provisions in a law. It requires a supportive infrastructure, free people, and secure spaces, especially online, and independent citizen media, and strong social movements, and economic resources and civil society organizations that allow people to connect to each other and to make their voices heard. We are encouraged by participation efforts like the Arab world's first participatory budgeting experiments in Tunisian cities, but there is much more to be done. Participation means that economic decisions, whether they involve the world's largest trade agreements or small city trash services, are based on democracy, not money. Participation and democracy demand equality for all and leadership from all, especially for and from those who have been excluded in the past, most urgently the young and women. It is long past time for women to rule in democracy. Let's also be clear. We wholeheartedly reject the idea that democracy is a garment that only fits some people or some societies or some faiths. Democracy is a shirt that can stretch to fit us all. There are people who have said that democracy is impossible in the Arab world. But here we are in Tunisia, the Arab world's first democracy. There are people who say democracy and Islam are not a match. But here again, we are in Tunisia. We have taken note of how the Islamic principle of shura, or consultation, embodies the democracy we seek. Consultation means that before we take decisions, we must get to know one another. We must learn and gain knowledge, and we must take care to listen to those who would be affected by those decisions. That is shura. That is direct democracy. Direct democracy should have no single home. We hope and pray for the day when democracy resides wherever people form communities. Democracy must be the right and responsibility of every individual, whoever you are, whatever your economic or social status, whether you sell cell phone service in Stuttgart or sell street food in Sidi Bouzid. We offer this statement, the Tunis Declaration, on the 17th day of May, 2015. We welcome the suggestions, corrections, and contributions of the world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will now try to have a very concise debate, or in a way input. I mean, as I said, we will not add a lot. We will not repeat any debates we had, in a way that things which have been said should be said again. But if there is now issues, if there are formulations which you feel should be amended, should be improved, it's the moment to do that.
And,
so who wants
and
to
I,
have
and I would suggest that please be specific. If you have not just a criticism, but a solution.
Very specific, yes. And I will stand with you always with the microphone, so...
Hey, so it's just a small adjustment in the first sentence. We say we are Tunisians, we are North Africans. But I think that we should say we are Africans because we had people from South Africa.
Good point.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Very good point. Yes. Yes, Daniel. Here.
Thank you.
So, great declaration. I really like it. But Stuttgart and Sidi Bouzid, for my feeling, if it comes to the end, it could end with social status, because then somehow the horses went, too far, as we say in Germany.
Too far.
the journalist horses. A really nice and also a little humorous formulation, but I think it's a very serious moment.
I wasn't trying to be funny. I mean, do they not sell cell phones in Stuttgart?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But it's. I mean, seriously, I tell you what I did. I was not trying to be serious. I was trying to be solemn, and I'm making a reference in the second part that I think most people in the room understand, right? If there's a better, does cell phone? Can you be specific? I mean, is there something you would change about the first part of it? Yeah, I mean, not trying to be funny, trying to reference something. Yeah.
Because two quick comments. One, on the second paragraph, because we already said that here we are Tunisians and we are Africans and there are people from Tunis and from far away. In the second paragraph, it seems that we are the foreigners. So I would say, instead of we were impressed, I would clarify, those of us who came from other places were impressed by, because otherwise it looks strange, because we have half Tunisians, half from other places, so perhaps those who come from other places were impressed by And the second one is in the last paragraph, where it says, free people and secure spaces, including online. I wonder if it could be, especially online. I wonder if it could be including online instead of especially.
That's a good idea. Those are good ideas. Everyone okay with those suggestions? Yeah.
J'ai une petite... je vais parler en français, je m'excuse. Ok. Donc, j'ai une petite préoccupation par rapport au passage.
With respect to the paragraph, I happen to have a concern with respect to the passage, with respect to the article. Can you hear me all right?
Now I can hear you. Perfect. Thank you.
So I was saying that I happen to have quite a concern related to the article devoted to the principle of the Shura. And I believe that in such an universal text stating or talking about principle of democracies going all beyond the ethnic principle and religious principle, I believe that it would be quite enough to state that the principle of democracy do not contradict Islam and try to avoid to get into details with respect to certain issues that do not happen to be appropriate as far as I'm concerned, whether is it appropriate within the framework of this text. And I believe that there are other references such as references that might be used in this respect. So I would suggest that democracy and Islam do not happen to be contradictory notions. Thank you.
That seems like something we need to talk about in the room. I test drove this. I read this also yesterday, this section, and I was nervous about that. And I deeply respect what you said, and I think I'd like to get, that's a big enough part of this that I think we need a little bit of discussion, Bruno, don't you think?
No, I also think, I mean, this is basically, of course, also this comment represents a little bit division on these issues in Tunisia also. I mean, trying to include. I mean, we had different sessions about that here, and there are obviously the idea of those who are religious to include it, and those who are not try to exclude it. And the question is how integrative. I mean, we are here in Tunisia, and this is a part of a reality, and the text shouldn't be neutralized in a way that we don't any much feeling what we have discussed here. So I'm not. I mean, from the outside, I would say it seems to be. It would be reasonable to try to include more than a part and to say it's not exclusive. It's a more positive notion what we would try to include here. But of course, we could certainly now discuss many hours about that.
But he's directly challenging that, and I don't want to have the document.
Yeah, there are many opinions on that, and
let's hear from at least some. Yeah.
Huh? Okay. Let's see a little.
I agree that Shura is not the direct democracy. Shura is consultation, yes, but we can say that Shura can be Shura can be interpreted as. So, I say, I don't have a good English, but I think that when we say consultation means that before we take decision, we must get to know one another, we must learn, and then, so, no, we want to say that it exists some people here in Tunisia who thinks that democracy is not antagonist of Shura is not democracy. Shura is consultation without results. It's a dialogue, not the result. So the good interpretation, if Shura is consultation with results, that can be Shura, but it is interpretation.
I make a proposal. I make a proposal that we keep this paragraph, but we delete the last two sentences. We end after who would be affected by those decisions. Is that something we can go for?
I would. Bruno suggests.
Oui.
Bruno is suggesting that losing that assures that it's direct democracy. I also wondered about, we have taken note of how the Islamic principle of shura, or consultation, embodies the democracy we seek. I wondered, we have heard here that the Islamic principle of shura, or consultation, embodies the democracy we seek. It steps back a little bit from taking note. It's a little, it doesn't quite embrace it as much. We've heard that said, I mean, certainly by, and we're putting it in, and that might also weaken it slightly, but I don't know if that would be enough to resolve this difference, and maybe we need to think about cutting the paragraph.
Merci. Thank you, which means that if you allow me to speak in the French language, so the issue related to the Shura had never been raised in Tunisia ever since the revolution. So the different slogans of the revolution were job, dignity, and democracy. That is, the question that was raised during all this period was how to introduce the Sharia in order to make it legal. But this issue had never been raised. Certain people had raised it or had thought, but to include it in the text make us think that the one good part of this forum had already talked about this issue. What I would come up with is there is a whole paragraph that I would suggest to delete. Starting from this sentence up to that is direct. So all this paragraph needs to be deleted, if I may. That is my suggestion, if you don't mind.
that paragraph we're talking about, that starts with "we have taken note" and ends with "that is direct democracy."
I want to say a few words as a non-Muslim, because this paper also will be read by many Western European people who don't know, who know very less about your discussion. And for me, I very much liked this sentence. I can't go into the detailed discussion with us because I don't know too less, but for me, it opens a whole universe to understand, okay, this is no contradiction. This is the message out of the sentence, and this is the message for a Western European guy with a Christian background, and this is the important thing. So please be a little bit generous about the formulation.
Okay. I mean, as I said, it's maybe hard to reopen the full debate. What would be necessary now? We have the proposal to delete it totally. We have the proposal to take away the last two sentences. We will not have a total new formulation, but please go into this proposal and don't discuss the whole issue.
Can I? And I would add to the two sentences, I would actually take out "we have taken note" and simply put it in the listening form. We have heard here that the Islamic principle of shura consultation embodies the democracy we seek. It's a reporting and and less of an embrace. I mean that is a suggestion, but I'm not convinced. I think maybe we need to cut the graph entirely. It's particularly if it divides us in big ways.
Yes, I do apologize. Well, so through this excellent document that you have just analyzed, there is a problem, an issue that happens to be crucial related to a democratic system. It happens to be, which happens to be in crisis. The crisis happens to exist everywhere in the world currently, and people everywhere in the world, worldwide, not only in Tunisia, people happens to kind of go less and less to the ballots.
Les gens assistent.
And people kind of attend or are witnessing kind of a type of a contest with power. And there is a reason for that, because globally and philosophically, I would state that the democratic system is based on the same type of mechanism. There are slight differences from one country to another, but the general engine happens to be the same and is being applied for centuries to certain societies that are kind of progressing in a very speedy manner. So there is a new philosophical thought on democracy. You need to redefine the role of the parties, and we need to provide more and more importance to the civil society legitimities of this. That is not the political parties, indeed, but it happens to be the competence.
Sir, I would argue that on that the document is really clear in agreement with you. That is not I don't see that as an issue, and people getting a misimpression.
Okay. But don't discuss the issue in large, just a proposal how we can.
Je vais parler en français. Moi, je pense que we have taken note of how the Islamic principle is not in contradiction of democracy and vice versa.
Got it.
It's enough.
It's enough.
D'accord, donc je vais pas être
I'm not going to be long or exhaustive in my suggestions. Let's start with the first point, to put an end to this polemics about Shura. I think we have not mentioned the term transparency, which does not exist, or does not seem to figure in the text, yet it is essential. Don't look for it, I have gone through the text. I think we need to incorporate this notion of transparency and of fighting against corruption. Again, in this text, there seems to be no mentioning of a development, sustainable development. And this should figure in the text. talking about internal development will require more than that. Number 3, and it's in relation with what we have mentioned yesterday concerning social media. I think we should spend some time on free and authentic access to information. This is a constitution. This is a principle that has been enshrined in the constitution of 2014, and yet it is not here. And then there is this regressive notion of Shura, which is one of the founding principles of Al-Sharia. Let's not forget that. The Shura you have mentioned is not democracy. It has nothing to do with that, actually. And I swear, if your text goes like this and it is validated with these 3 lines on Shura, then it is going to be discredited for all of our elite, which is secular, and it is going to be absolutely disappointed with 4 lines on the notion of Al-Sharia. I think we need to simply write 1 sentence on that and no more.
Joe? I would say I think that I'm listening very hard and thinking that if we want this to, we don't vote on this, but we want this to sort of reflect a consensus, and I'm not seeing a consensus in the room on Shura, and it seems like that, I mean, to me, that means losing it. To your other points, I think I agree and disagree. Transparency, I actually think is a good thing to add, maybe as transparency to counter corruption, and I can see a place to add that. I think sustainable development it takes us a bit far away from where we were here. It's also maybe this is a personal bias, but the use of the word sustainable. It is so used in so many contexts to mean so many different things that I would argue with conviction that it has lost meaning and agreed upon meaning in the world. It is an incredibly overused word and deeply problematic, I think, because it means so many different things to so many different people. So I would be reluctant to add that point. I would transparency and to counter corruption would seem to fit very well to me in the notion, the supportive infrastructure and setting where we talk about freedom and secure spaces and independent citizens media, which was discussed in the implementation. I think that reflects the implementation of the carrying out of the notion of freedom of expression and freedom of press. I think that is actually covered. I do think you make a very good point on transparency not being mentioned anywhere, because that was a big topic of the conference.
So thank you. Before we go back to this more contested part, is there anything else somebody really feels as hard we need to change than this part? Is there any? I mean, we are many who want to talk, and we need to be very, very, very specific. And you are, yeah, I'm coming.
Thank you. For me, I want to ask people who was talking the first to give us the meaning of Sharia and Shura. For me.
I have a suggestion. Instead of deleting the list phrase, I suggest Shura is the first and the main step in the right path to establish direct democracy in Tunisia. What do you think?
Merci.
Thank you. I believe that this type of forum, I would say, is not kind of located within the global and international essence. We are looking for local values that would be kind of like an added values that would provide very simple applications. So when we kind of talk about the specificity of democracy in Tunisia, in order to state that it is possible in the Arab world, we may provide certain example of applications that we may state from local values. When we try to say that our elite is vulnerable, sensitive to this sort of words, we are within kind of direct democracy, and we need to make evolve and engage the majority of the people. And our elites needs to review, to revise this type of values in order to get closer to the people, to get closer to the citizens, that we are keen on making them much more participative indeed.
Actually, that was my favorite paragraph from the whole. So I was surprised. We were not talking about Tunisia being a theocracy here. I mean, it was essential, I agree with you, and it was surprising for a Westerner and non-Muslim to actually ask people to be generous, because for people who do not know much detail about Islam, that was a very good example. It's consultation. There's nothing else. It's saying that Islam is not about one opinion. Keep it.
Je trouve qu'on doit mentionner.
I think that we need to underscore that democracy is not a static type of shape in history. It had evolved, it had progressed in a sense from the Greek type of democracy by going by the Shura and many other types of democracy that we may call democracy. But currently, democracy happens to be completely different, and we need to underscore the notion of evolvement, progress of democracy. We should not indeed kind of try to stick the words together, Shura, Christian democracy, to Greek democracy, and try to say that democracy happens to be all the same ever since kind of a couple of centuries have been the same thing. We need to underscore the fact that democracy has evolved indeed in time. It's not a static type. So the historical aspect of democracy needs to understand.
Is pretending that we are in a static situation. So, but Joe is working on a proposal there.
Well, so I mean, I think that the choices. We're framing a choice here. I'm honestly, I mean, I like the paragraph very much. I thought the writer did a great job, but the point of this is to really, we're not all signing on to this as the official of the. But it bothers. I'm inclined, and the practice has been in Montevideo and San Francisco, that people are basically okay with everything, and the fact that this thing divides the room clearly makes me want to reduce it or take it out. I mean, that is my own, just because I mean, not stepping away from it, but just, we don't want something divided. What was just handed me was a suggestion of, I guess, probably replacing that whole paragraph with just a sentence that says, we've taken note how the Islamic principle, do you want to say sure, or just say Islamic principles, plural, are not in contradiction with democracy and vice versa. Period, as a I guess that would be sort of a compromise between. I would be open to that too. I would be open. I mean, after hearing the group, because I don't want something that's going to really divide us, I would be open to taking it out.
Maybe an intermediate type of position, that is, the Shura had certain problems of interpretation during history or throughout history, I would say, and with history as well, that had been misinterpreted by dictators and hadn't been well taken care of by Muslim dictators. So what I would suggest is, let me speak in French. Shura implies to be interpreted up to today's solidarity and respect for human species, no matter its cultural background and its religious beliefs as well. So all these elements need to be underscored as well.
I think that we're talking about things that inspired us from Tunisia, and I would say that Chapter 7 with the 12 articles in the Constitution is an inspiring text for the rest of the world to know that this exists. So perhaps I mentioned that Tunisia has included participation in the Constitution in 12 articles. I think would be nice for the rest of the world to learn about.
Interesting. Okay.
I try to give the word now to those who haven't talked yet.
So, hello. Concerning the same paragraph, my proposal is just to let it like we have taken note of how Islam is not contradictory with democracy, period. And I understand, just one moment, I understand for my European friends and counterpart that this paragraph sounds and look very nice, like a postcard. Islam is very nice, and we are used to this postcard. Tunisia is the first Arabic world, the most progressive, the most open, but we are still having our problem that we want to deal with, and this postcard is not helping us a lot. Even if you decide to let the paragraph like this, I'm totally opposed to the last sentence, that is Shura, that is direct democracy, because it is simply incorrect. Shura is about consultation. It's a good point, but it's not direct democracy. I could consult with 20 people who don't agree with me and take my opinion. And this is not direct democracy, so I'm sorry, although it sounds very beautiful.
Hey. سامحوني أنا أعتقد أننا نعاني.
I believe that we are suffering from kind of issues related to concepts and more related than to concepts, which means that Shura happens to be a genuine concept that had been stated in the Quran, in the Holy War. But if we are going to take Islam from this global ayam, kind of a Muslim from the Ibrahim sex, which means that I do understand kind of Shura, and I am an active because of, or within the framework of direct democracy. I do not find that there is no difference, any difference between kind of the existentialism and the concept of democracy as such.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. Actually, I think that the discussion here shows what the complexity of what we're trying to do in this chapter. I think that the relationship between Islam and democracy is one of the most contested discussions in the international debate on democracy and democracy promotion. And here we try to clarify it within a few sentences, even to link it to direct democracy. And I think even here we see how contested it is. And thus I would really go for striking it out totally, because in my eyes it's inappropriate in this declaration the way it is.
Okay, I think that we have to let the paragraph in the declaration, because we have to be faithful to the workshop that took place for hours, and it has been discussed, and Shura has been presented. So, but what we need to do, I think, if we link the Shura to the direct democracy, that would be going too far. So I propose that we delete two sentences. The sentence that says, Shura embodies the democracy we seek. That's going too far. And the second sentence we have to, I think that we have to delete is, that is Shura, that is direct democracy. We can just keep the paragraph as a description of the Shura as it has been presented.
I think we have to a little bit wind up here, because of course we can continue. I think I must say this is one really option which makes sense to me.
When you have said the sentence that there are people who say democracy and Islam are not a match, but here again Tunisia, we are in Tunisia. Nobody has a comment that Islam and democracy are compatible. So you may add just, here we are in Tunisia, where Islamic principles like Shura are compatible with direct democracy. Can be compatible with direct democracy, and it's okay. The vote of the day, Doc.
So I think the call is pretty clear given the difference. The difference itself, it's not taking sides, the difference itself in a document like this means that this has got to go, I think. It's the difference. I think the question for me is, how people feel about the sort of a smaller, reduced, I mean, you know, that assures that direct democracy. Do we get to something like we have taken note of how Islamic principles are not in contradiction with democracy and vice versa? Does that work for people? Is that sort of, you know, or the people who still want the paragraph in, they don't like that, and we should just, you know, yeah. All right. All right, let me try. So what were two paragraphs, essentially, I would reduce to yeah. Do not need to be, or just are not in, or not.
It does not need to be, because otherwise it's absolutely, it's a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, so what were two paragraphs is now one that says.
Just listen now, please.
I got to go slowly again. It's for translation. There are people who have said that democracy is impossible in the Arab world, but here we are in Tunisia, the Arab world's first democracy. There are people who say democracy and Islam are not compatible. But here again, we are in Tunisia, and we have heard here that Islamic principles do not need to be in contradiction with democracy and vice versa. Is that okay? And the people who like Shura can live with that too?
Okay, thank you. No,
I think Shura is. I liked it, and I think Roman put his finger on something, and you put your finger on something. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Going to San Diego State, but it divides people, and I think that Roman put his finger on something. There is a magic to that to certain Western ears, and I think the magic of it is also part of the problem of it. I'm convinced after that. Let me get it. So I think that is the change I made. I also added in response to the comment in this side of the room. I'm sorry, sir, I've forgotten your name. The transparency in that list, if it requires a supportive infrastructure, I took free people and made it to freedom to make it a little broader. So it requires a supportive infrastructure, freedom and transparency, parenthetical, especially to counter corruption, and secure spaces, including online, and independences in media, and strong social movements, and economic resources, and civil society organizations. I did that as well. Okay. Are we pretty much there? And we are Africans now, not just North Africans. Yeah.
So is there
Just for the l'avant-dernier paragraphe. Direct democracy should have no single home. We hope and pray for the day when democracy resides wherever people from communities. Democracy must be the right and responsibility of every individual. However, ça ne devrait pas citer seulement une ville.
It should not mention one city or region, but rather concern all the region, without making any distinction between the different regions, because all of them are in and within Tunisia. So please, we don't need to mention a city and forget the others.
I was not trying to do that. I was making a Mohammed Bouaziz reference.
Yes, I know.
I thought that made that I was. Do you think it leaves? But you think it leaves that impression?
Another remark. Une autre remarque, s'il vous plaît, si vous
Another
permettez,
observation, if
pour
you allow
montrer
me,
que c'est à même
to
distance
show
de tous les
that
partis
we
politiques, de
stand
toutes
at
les
an equal
tendances
distance
politiques,
from all political
d'ajouter dans le
parties and
deuxième
trends.
paragraphe
We should
Open
add in the
Forum in
second
Tunis,
paragraph
University
on
of
Open
Carthage,
Forum in
pour
Tunis
insister
University
que
of
c'est dans
Carthage,
un
to
environnement
insist that
universitaire
this
que
is
les
within
discussions ont eu lieu et que
an
tous ont
academic
eu
environment that discussions took place,
le droit à un libre accès,
and
le
that
droit à la
everybody
parole de la même
had
manière
free
et que ce n'était
access
pas porté par un
to
parti politique
information and
plus qu'un
the
autre.
right to speak and to take the floor. Thanks. In the name of God, clement and merciful, I would like to remind everybody that we are making a declaration of Tunisia. So, if this declaration doesn't take any Tunisian color, smell, then it is useless, because I would like to join my colleague here who looks for specific, local specific features. Let me remind you that there has been a whole workshop on Islam and democracy. I wish this kind of philosophical discussions were held within the workshop and not today. And I would like to join Madam, who precisely talks about 2 points of view. I am here, yes, I do support the idea of putting Shura here. Shura is one of the tools, but if we had the workshop on people's committees or perhaps other experiences, we would have put this in the final declaration. But because this is the only experience, indeed it talks about Islam, democracy and Shura, then there seems to be a problem here. Well, to sum up our internal think issues have to remain here. This is an international declaration, and could you ask them to take the floor? This is direct democracy. Thank you. I'm giving my point of view. I am in favor of this formula. Can you please ask the gentleman to take the mic, to take the floor and take the mic? I cannot finish if you don't keep quiet. So please, some respect, please. We haven't seen you in the workshops. So these people come simply to vote. I am for or in favor of a conciliated formula.
No, I think we have the point. Again, I will propose that you repeat your proposal.
The whole thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Once more, because sometimes now, because it's a little bit difficult, of course, as you see. We don't vote. As you can see, there's a little bit of a problem. We go back and forward, of course. And I think we had quite a nice formulation which respects that we discussed that there is a reality which is divided on that, but where we try to find a ground, not that we are all of the same opinion, but that we are mirroring what has been discussed. So, Joe, may you repeat this formulation? And we cannot, of course, now try to repeat all discussions in that.
Okay, and one more time?
Yeah.
From the top, as they say?
No, just this part.
Okay, which part are we talking about that you want? The Shura part. The Shura part is gone. That's the part we took out. So this is what we have. Let me give. There's more behind it. Let's also be clear. We wholeheartedly reject the idea that democracy is a garment that only fits some people or some societies or some faiths. Democracy is a shirt that can stretch to fit us all. There are people who have said that democracy is impossible in the Arab world, but here we are in Tunisia, the Arab world's first democracy. There are people who say democracy and Islam are not compatible, but here again, we are in Tunisia, and we have heard here that Islamic principles do not need to be in contradiction with democracy, and vice versa, period.
That's all.
I did a couple of other small things.
Yeah, other small things.
In reflection, just in the sentence at the end of that long paragraph that starts, participation requires more than words in a constitution. That last sentence of it is now, we are encouraged by, and this maybe reflects more Tunisian flavor in this fusion of a document. We are encouraged by the articles on participation in the Tunisian constitution and by the Arab world's first participatory budgeting experiments in Tunisian cities, comma, but there is more work to be done. And then now says we have met for 4 days at the University of Carthage to discuss democracy, participation and decentralization at a free and open forum in Tunis to which the entire world was invited, which is true. So, yeah, those are the, yeah.
Okay, so I would really like not to reopen everything again. So if there is a very specific thing which still need to be addressed, no debate. Yeah.
The same sentence. We have met for 4 days to discuss democracy, participation, and decentralization in a direct way. To add in a direct way, at a free and open space.
I think that's just awkward as language.
It's strange to say in an indirect way, so we don't need to name it. I mean, if I talk to you, I don't do it indirectly. So.
Je dis aux organisateurs de ce...
I would like to tell the organizers of this forum that they have associated the UGTT as partner of this forum. UGTT was the driving force behind the national dialogue. So this is the specificity of Tunisia, national dialogue and agreement on consensus. We have talked about this when Mr. Ghannouchi, when Sheikh Rashid Ghannouchi was here. He used this term as key, which is consensus. Consensus is perhaps what distinguishes Tunisia from other countries. The role of 4 organizations, the League of Human Rights, UTICA, which is the patronate union, and the Workers' Union, and the...
As you have seen, yeah. So I would really like to conclude this now, because we have many emotional and many things in it. So what was something specific? 39 countries, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So no more, yeah. We have we the trade unionists in the list of the people?
Oh, good point. That's a good point. We should be right at the top, right?
Yeah. We included.
I actually did have a line about sort of workers, more specifically in it, that sort of referred to that, and it just didn't seem to fit or work. I did struggle with that. It was also quite late last night when I was not at my best, but anyway, yeah. So I think we're now adding trade unionists into our list of among us, our scholars, journalists, etc.
So only if there is something specifically to precise, not debating anymore.
No, not debating. Just a little clarification. According to the place, you said the conference was held in University of Carthage, and we are in NINAT, which is the National Agronomy University, and University of Carthage financed the. Just clarification.
I respect the branding there.
The people of San Diego State.
It's done. It's done.
And also we have to say we will in 5 minutes hopefully we will have the bye-bye talks, and we will credit everybody who has been behind that. So, just do you have a specific proposition? No debate. No debate. Sorry. A question. Yeah.
Thank you, first of all, for all the amendments and also for your work for drafting it. I mean, I know how hard this is and now the discussions here, but I think it's a good document as we have it now. And I have a question on how we further use it, and what's finally also the purpose of the resolution. To whom will it be sent, and where will it be put on the internet, and what will happen with it finally?
Just say that. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yes. they don't like the prayers. So. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
some people will be praying, right?
Yes.
Some of us will be praying.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think this kind of specific, it's a little bit hard. I just can inform you, I mean, this is not a resolution again. This is not a, it's not a text of a total agreement. It's trying to mirror a little bit what we discussed about, where we are, what we wanted to address, and what is let's say, for the next forum, like just a small message from this forum to the next forum. So, again, I mean, we have to be humble in what we can achieve. We will obviously now translate it into other languages. And it's not, I mean, the experience of this kind of declarations hasn't been, they haven't really made revolutions. It's just a little bit of a common understanding. So this is, we will...
To answer, we should answer his question more specifically. Yeah. It does go up on the 2015 Global Forum website. It will get translated into Arabic and French, hopefully right away, and everyone's maybe already doing that. Hopefully, somebody is, and I think it will go out. I was told just before we started this would, the press was going to look at it, but it's not a. It is, as he said, it's not a. I mean, you can still find, if you Google the Montevideo Declaration and the San Francisco one as well, which are actually, the three are actually very different documents in some ways and very profoundly similar in others. But
we can. Some orthographic things we can do. Of course.
To make corrections at the end, and people do comment on it.
I would like to conclude now this session, and I would love and like to see if we can just by a little applause conclude that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Joe, for this great editing. And yes, we are almost at the end. I would like to ask our great friends and supporters and hosts here, the local organizing committee, to come up and to share a few words, especially maybe Lassad want to address us. So everybody come up from the local organization committee, so we also can make a picture of those. So. You may just stand, I give you the microphone and you can make a... No, here.
Okay, just a few words. I'd like to thank all the participants for the great work they have done, that great work that have been done in this 4 days. I hope that this work has some influence in the democracy process in Tunisia and in the Arab world. We hope that we'll give a positive message for all the world from this the debate that have been made in these few days. And I would like to express my knowledge to all the members of the local organization, for Bruno and Joe. Thank you. Thank you very much. Daniel, of course, Daniel and all people that have made this dream possible in Tunisia. It's really a dream that we have lived in these few days. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One of the good.
Sorry, Andreas. Thank you very much, Andreas.
So we can make it. Yeah. So really, Lassad and all of you, I said it yesterday evening when we first came here last September. we went to the UGTT and they sent us to you. And you said instantly yes. And I hope that you feel that it was a right decision, even it was a lot of work. And we are very, very, very thankful to all of you for that. And this, I mean, in spite of all our divisions of backgrounds and ideas and maybe hard work sometimes, I think these 4 days have made history and will change a little bit of our common way forward. Thank you, everybody, very much.
We're done.
Yeah, done. Yeah.
Thank you and good job.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job.